and that is the regular meeting of the Urbana City Council. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Ms. Barnes?
Here.
Mr. Bowersox?
Here.
Mr. Garrick?
Here.
Mr. Lewis?
Here.
Mr. Roberts?
Here.
Mr. Smythe? Ms. Stevenson?
Present.
Mayor Pressing.
Here. First is approval of the minutes of the previous meeting, February 2nd, 2009.
I move their approval. Second.
Okay, motion by Roberts, seconded by Barnes. Any additions or corrections to the minutes? If not, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That motion carries. Are there any additions to the agenda? Okay, moving on to petitions and communications. Is there anyone who would like to address the Urbana City Council? Okay,
Mayor,
yes.
can I make a short
Lynn?
announcement?
Yes.
There's going to be a Neighborhood Safety Task Force meeting on February 24th at 5:30 p.m., and it'll be upstairs in the conference room. For any of the citizens who would like to attend and who have interest in that, there's an opportunity to give input to the Special Task Force. Thank you.
Okay. Beg your pardon?
BPAC tomorrow night?
7
Oh.
p.m.
All right.
Okay, and since Brandon can't speak, there's a Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee meeting here tomorrow night at 7 o'clock in the main City Council chambers.
Okay. I don't believe there's any old business, so let's go to reports of standing committees. The Committee of the Whole.
On behalf of the Committee of the Whole, I'd like to move ordinance number 2009-02-007, an ordinance approving further modifications to the City of Urbana and Urbana-Champaign County Home Consortium, FY045, FY067, FY078 annual action plans, and modifications to the City of Urbana and Urbana-Champaign County Home Consortium fiscal year 2008-09 annual action plan. And that came from the committee with a recommendation for approval.
I'll second that.
Okay. That was a motion by Barnes, seconded by Roberts. Any discussion? Would the clerk please call the roll?
Ms. Barnes?
Yes?
Mr. Bowersox?
Yes.
Mr. Garrick?
Yes.
Mr. Lewis?
Yes.
Mr. Roberts?
Yes.
Mr. Smythe?
Yes.
Ms. Stevenson?
Yes.
That motion carries. Ms. Barnes.
Would it be the pleasure of the group to take B, C, and D in omnibus fashion?
Yes.
Okay. I'll read all three then. Resolution number 2009-02-003R, a resolution approving and authorizing the execution of an agreement with the Illinois Department of Transportation. This is with regard to Windsor Road, Boulder Drive to High Cross Road. Second resolution is number 2009-02-004R, a resolution providing for reconstruction of Windsor Road from Boulder Drive to High Cross Road. And the third resolution that will take an omnibus fashion is Resolution 2009-02-005R, resolution for improvement by municipality under the Illinois Highway Code, again with regard to Windsor Road and Boulder Drive to High Cross Road. On behalf of the committee, I so move those three resolutions.
Okay, motion by Barnes, seconded by Smythe. Any discussion? Heather Stevenson.
I'm going to vote yes on these three resolutions, and the reason is because this is part of the ward where I represent, and I have not heard one constituent come to me and say, "Oh, we shouldn't do this." So, that being said, usually when people don't want to do something, my phone's burning up. So, since my phone didn't burn up this week, I'm going to go ahead and vote yes.
Anyone else? All right, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That motion carries.
Next resolution is resolution number 2009-02-006R, a resolution for improvement by municipality under the Illinois Highway Code with regard to North Lincoln Avenue Bridge replacement.
I'll second that, please.
Okay, that's a motion by Barnes, seconded by Roberts. Any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That motion carries. Reports of special committees, I don't think we have any. Reports of officers. Anyone want to report? Okay, I will give a report. This is what I got from the U.S. Conference of Mayors about the conference bill that was passed by the United States Senate and the United States House on the, what's now called the American Recovery and Reinvestment Bill, I think, Act. I'll just give you some highlights of what will affect Urbana. First, the Energy Efficiency and Conservation Block Grant is funded at $2.8 billion. And this is a law that was passed by Congress but never funded. And we call this a huge victory because it was originally authorized at $2 billion, although it wasn't funded. And now in this recovery bill, it's funded at $2.8 billion. Public transportation, there's $8.4 billion, including $750 million for rail modernization. There is $8 billion for high-speed rail, intercity passenger rail. And that's a big increase over both the House and Senate bills. Amtrak is funded at $850 million. Community Development Block Grants, CDBG, which we know well, is funded at $1 billion. There's also funding for community-oriented police services at $1 billion. And there used to be a $75,000 cap and a $75,000 match, and those have both been removed. Does the police chief have any comment on that, or? Okay, no comment yet, but, you know, these are things that will be very helpful to cities. And here's another interesting one. The workforce training programs are funded at $3.95 billion, with $1.2 billion for youth training, including summer jobs. And we've had a request to have some interns that are being mentored at the high school to get summer jobs, and, you know, where would we get the money? So now there's some money. And the National Endowment for the Arts is funded at $50 million to provide grants to state and local arts agencies to assist nonprofit arts agencies create or retain jobs in the arts community. So we're well positioned with the Public Arts Commission to use that. So I think we've gotten some good news in the midst of all the bad news about the economy. Brandon.
Yeah, I would thank you. It's really nice to hear that report. I would add one thing that, from my understanding, about a third of the stimulus bill was competitive in nature. A lot of these, like the energy efficiency block grant, we'll just get because we meet the population rule, which is great. But about a third of the funding is competitive, meaning we have to be looking for grant opportunities and putting in grants. So I'm going to keep my ear to the rail and see what programs I hear about in sustainability and green cities and things. But through every channel, we should really be listening for what, in every department, what are the grant applications that the police or public works or CD can be going for, things like enhancement grants and whatnot that got more funding, but that we've got to put in our projects for funding to get them to happen. So, and the arts grants too are all great opportunities.
And I should say that the funding for highways is going to come through the state, and Windsor Road is the #1 project in the QOTS reports. This is what Bill Gray has told me, so I think we are positioned to get some help on that one too. Anyone else? Okay, under new business, I've got some appointments and reappointments. The first is Operations Manager Richard Coyne, and Bill Gray did a whole biography on him that was attached to the appointments letter. He's been with the city for quite a few years and has done a very good job, moved up through the ranks. So he would be replacing Jim Kelly, although nobody can really replace Jim Kelly. And I also have Design Review Board. This was created for the Lincoln-Busey corridor to make sure that buildings fit in with that general thing, and there probably will be one also in the Huna area. So Alice Engelbretson and Shirley Stillinger. And then the Historic Preservation Commission, Joan Stoltz. And for a reappointment, I'd like to reappoint James McNeely to the Civilian Police Review Board.
Move approval.
I second that.
Okay, motion by Barnes, seconded by Roberts. Any discussion? Oh, Bill Gray.
Just a couple things. Yes, Jim Kelly is retiring, but as we all know, various people, I should say people bring various strengths, to the position. And Rich is with us here tonight, Rich and his wife, Fran Coyne. And Rich has worked many years with Jim, and he's very well suited and capable and competent to fill in those shoes. And so you'll be seeing him around town a little more than in the past. And of course, with Rich's promotion, we'll be looking for someone to fill that vacancy internally too. So there'll be some positions we need to fill. But I think you'll be pleased. I'm very confident Rich will do a good job for us.
Dennis?
I'd just like to thank Alice Engelbretson for applying for the position in the Design Review Board. She's been a creative person in the East Neighborhood, and it was through her interest in correcting faulty brickwork that was in front of her home that initiated a workshop in the historic East Urbana neighborhood that was a funded project that brought the group together and did the first reconditioning of a segment of one of our walkways, brick walkways, under the tutelage of a professional brick walk restoration bricklayer, and it has spawned forward into quite a few different projects and improvements in the town. I think that she'll make an excellent person on the board.
And I would like to add that on the Design Review Board, I'm supposed to appoint 3 people, and 2 of the people are supposed to live in, one in each district. We haven't formed the second district, so I'm holding off until we actually form it before I can appoint someone who lives in that district. So there's a motion by Barnes and seconded by Roberts. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much, Rich. We always get a lot of compliments on Urbana snow clearing from people who even live in other cities. So I'm sure you'll do a great job. Okay, now we need to go into a closed session. Mike Munson's out of the room, but we're just going to have to go into this closed session. This is for property acquisition issues. Is there a motion?
I move we go into closed session in regard to property acquisition issues pursuant to 5 ILCS 120/2C5.
I second that.
Okay, a motion by David Gehrig, seconded by Dennis Roberts. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Ms. Barnes?
Yes?
Mr. Bowersox?
Yes.
Mr. Garrick?
Yes.
Mr. Lewis?
Yes.
Mr. Roberts?
Yes.
Mr. Smythe? Ms. Stevenson?
Yeah.
Mayor Pressing?
Yes.